Hello, everyone. To everyone who's already here, we're gonna wait for another few minutes, 3 to 5, just to get everyone else who is struggling with onboarding. So we talk in 3 to 5. Hello again. I hope you're all coping well in this crazy time you're living in. We have 2/3 of the world in some sort of a lockdown. Some businesses are plummeting, others are thriving, and our industry is no exception. A few days ago, I was looking at data provided by Bitmovin that we are looking more than ever videos before. I mean, it's logical. We are all in lockdown. Many of us are watching TV or any sorts of different services. Even though it's, most of us won't like to admit, but we also allow our kids to watch much more TV than before, just so that we are able to do our jobs. And there are some staggering numbers. We are watching not only more videos than ever before, but we are also watching them longer. So we are watching 200% more videos longer. We are watching 200 times more long than before, which in total generates 380% more traffic in the network, which in my opinion is a crazy number. So thank you to all my peers, industry colleagues and friends for joining the webinar. And of course, big thank you to Bitmovin and its wonderful marketing team for providing this platform to share some industry insights. Today, we'll be discussing or addressing OTT in service providers environment. With service providers, I generally mean telco companies, TV operators, whether they are cable, satellite, terrestrial, IPTV, mobile providers, or ISPs. Last year, when addressing the same topic, OTT in service providers environment, we were asking ourselves a question, whether OTT as a companion service or OTT as a strategy. And in my opinion, this year, there are no more doubts about it. But before we dive in, to see why my opinion is such, a few ground rules. So we will have a dedicated questions and answer session at the end of the webinar, but feel free to ask the questions in between. There is a chat section below. Please also share your opinions, experiences. There's no need to ask only questions, but every idea which can enrich this webinar is more than here. And I would definitely like to apologize beforehand for any additional, maybe a bit unpleasant sounds, because I am broadcasting from my balcony, which has during COVID became my office and also sort of a safe haven. Just before we jump into the topic itself, let me introduce myself. My name is Žorž. I am leading sales for Beenius, who is an end-to-end system integrator with its core products. We've been in the industry since 2007, so we are practically here with you since the beginning of interactive TV. We are present globally in all the regions of the world. We have, or what our product is, basically it's a platform which serves IPTV, OTT, and DVB-X hybrid interactive TV with our own client applications. A part of that, as I mentioned, we are a media systems integrator, and we had last year we had a separate webinar, or actually it was a live event during IBC with Bitmovin about why media systems integrator are needed in IPTV, OTT, DVB world. As you can see, I mean, all the possible technologies out there. It's just in general, it's too much for operators to handle by themselves, to design, to to deploy all the architectures. So this is where system integrators come in, act as a one-stop shop where they help basically operators to provide the latest and greatest of technologies. The whole industry is full of beautiful, exceptional companies with exceptional products, and this is also how Beenius and Bitmovin started to cooperate. We've been partnering almost since the beginning, and yeah, let's dive into why we are here today. The only purpose was to give you a bit of a background about me and about ourselves before we touch the topic itself. As any let's say presentation, you have to start with challenges, and operators today do have many different challenges. Churn is definitely one of the biggest ones, and all the operators need to be asking themselves how high the churn is, how high the churn will be tomorrow, how many subscribers eventually return, why do they return, and also one of the key churn topics is, of course, seasonal churn, where you see how subscribers are migrating or unsubscribing and subscribing back. Mostly today, the reason for churn is cord cutting. It is a movement, let's call it a movement, which it's the biggest now in the States, but it is slowly going across its borders, or not very slow anymore. It's becoming a big thing. I remember now during COVID a few weeks ago, I was reading a title which went, "No sports for 1 month. Why are you still paying for pay TV?" Which is it's a question itself, because many pay TV operators, actually the thing which was differentiator for them was sports. And this cord cutting, as mentioned, is happening mostly due to influx of different SVOD, AVOD, OTT services. We are living in an explosion of such services. Just last few months, we've seen Disney Plus joined and is already reaching crazy amounts of subscribers. HBO Max is coming, Apple TV came, many more are joining on top of numerous who were there before. So they are definitely the biggest threat for service providers today. And the COVID-19 situation only boosted that. On the other side, also free content, you can get it almost at every point. It's becoming a big threat to pay TV operators or service providers as such. One interesting data, I listened to a webinar which was organized by Bitmovin before this one, and according to Ernst & Young, 76 of US households have at least one OTT service, or are subscribed to at least one OTT service, and 20% of them have at least 3. But 36% of subscribers said that most likely the first thing to cancel will be their SVOD subscription in case of financial issues, which is also an important information, that yes, all these services are today very popular, but also in time of financial unrest, this will be the first one to be cut off. Every subscriber is thinking or asking themselves about ARPU, so average revenue per user. The fact that is that today it's quite difficult to obtain it, as prices are dropping, prices of services service provider are offering are dropping due to competition, and at the same time investments into content are also rising. With the investments in mind, you also have to think about non-linear watching, because today, people do not watch TV when it's on air, but when they have time. So we're talking about now investment into technology, because you have to expand the capacity of your non-linear providing. Customer acquisition is an expensive and long-term process. Transfers between one and the other service providers are not that simple, as we realized. On the other side, it's much easier to cut the cord and subscribe to an SVOD service. So service provider using our, let's call them, we can call it a sticky product. It's difficult to leave one service provider for another. Demographic is also playing a big role on the business itself, as it's very interesting to see this role, how this role differs from content to content, continent to continent. You have service providers that need to strive to provide services which are interesting for subscribers which have very basic needs. So we can also call them TV zappers. But on the other side, you also have a group, and especially these are younger groups, who are premium viewers with higher demands. Another interesting data which I saw lately was that during COVID, the biggest rise in streaming was in the group of 55 years plus, which means that, even though we tend to perceive that AVOD, SVOD services are mostly used by younger generation, we have come to a moment where let's call them older generation are also now getting used to watching content on such services, which is additional threat for TV operators. And advertising. Service providers are simply not earning anything from advertising today, even though the investments into the infrastructure are mostly on their side. And if you look at the broadcasters and content owners who are earning on advertising and selling the content, there is a discrepancy which Modernday operators see, and also are eager to change that situation. So if we look at, let's say, TV today, how operators are approaching it, all of them have live TV service together with catch-up and some VOD, mostly owned VOD. OTT is used as a companion device. So we're talking about mobile phones and web portals, mostly because competitors also have them. And the whole strategy is built on few sports channels, which keep the subscribers. And another interesting thing we saw is that there's, in the past, operators were tend to retrain subscribers or to get new ones with additional channels. So they were buying additional channels and expanding their channel list. But the data shows that even if you grow from, let's say, 130 channels to 190 channels, so this is a jump of 60 channels, in average only 0.2 additional channels will be tuned in, which shows this inflation of channels, even though people or subscribers are not watching them. And another interesting fact is that, let's say, an average operator who has 150 channels and 7 days of catch-up TV plus 3,000 VOD assets has 31,200 hours of content at any moment, at any day, which is close to what the biggest SVOD and AVOD platforms own. We can discuss about the quality of such content, but the thing is that they have a lot of content, but I would guess that most of this content never gets discovered by their viewers. So let's talk about how to change that. First of all, definitely what has to be done is to unify all the data. So when I say unify all the data, I'm talking about recommendation-based live TV, catch-up TV, and VOD in order to help viewers to find something to watch, and in the same time monetize the investment into all that content. Because operators are paying lots of money for content, but most of it, as we saw on previous slide, isn't even watched. So you don't monetize that content. Interoperability of the existing infrastructure is also key. So yes, let's enable and start OTT, where you will be enabling comfort of service, but also use OTT for adding new subscribers with using mostly the business model which works here very well is so-called freemium. And in utilization of existing service and adding OTT for non-linear. So we are not talking about removing all the old investments, let's call them old investments with IPTV and DVB, but OTT should give something extra to subscribers. Content as a video asset, which means content is content. People, when watching TV, they simply don't care whether it's live TV, VOD, catch-up TV, personal recording. For them, it's content, and they want to watch it as such. Additional generator of interest should be service provider generated content. So there are simple tricks which operators can do. Of course, you can go if you're a very big operator. You have your resources. You of course you have the means to go into proper content generation. But I am from Alpine region. In our region, it was very popular for different channels to have, they call them ski cameras. So you can have a radio channel. You invest into 5, 10 HD cameras. You set them at locations which have some interest for people, like skiing resorts, traffic, whatever, and you already have some self-generated content which will definitely provide some value to your subscribers. OTT as a strategy and not only as a companion, as premium model to be used in a way where you are able to get subscribers using your OTT service with some basic services for free, and then monetize them with additional services. Bundling, it's very important. As a service providers, you have a lot of different products. Bundle them. You can bundle mobile broadband. Additionally, later on, bundle fixed lines. Bring your own device is also a very popular approach where you lower your investment with devices which are available in supermarkets. Let's say in the past it was it was operators set-top box and that was it. But today you can get very high quality devices in supermarkets or in technical stores, which you can use to broadcast your own content. Ad-funded service is a way to monetize your OTT strategy. Without it today, it's shown that it's quite a bit difficult, and it's such a nice opportunity for the operators to raise additional funds. And always think about your own diaspora. Every nation in the world, even though how small it might be, has a group of people living across borders. Yes, there are some features which are additionally required, such as per asset blackout, but it's a very nice way to boost your subscriber base. With Android TV as a strategy for set-top box, you have a tool which will provide a user experience that can address older and younger generations. So basically, generations which are searching for something simple and generations which are searching for something more. With Android TV, you have all the applications already available in the stores, and due to that, much faster approach towards the market. And together with value-added services, you can really expand your offering and also revenues. Here I would emphasize on VOD library revenue share, or also we can call them third-party libraries. As in the past, the idea was operator invests a lot of money into VODs, and we all know what kind of library that was. They invested in it 5-10 years ago. It didn't become very popular, no updates, and quickly it became just a sitting cost. With approach of third-party libraries, you guarantee that you will always have up-to-date VODs, and at the same time you will also lower the investment into such a big library. So the goals should be device bundling. You never forget about only having a set-top box or a mobile or web. It should be a mix of devices so that your subscribers can reach TV at any given moment. It has become quite an old buzzword or saying watch TV anywhere at any time on any device, but this still holds. Use mobile devices as a customer acquisition tool, and value-added services and advertising as an ARPU generator. I will put a bit more emphasis on advertising, as today it is becoming a major driver for OTT. I would say that, I'm talking about the targeted advertising, or addressable advertising. Today, operators, most of them, still use that, let's call it old school advertising with billboards, radios, TVs, which is very expensive. The amount of money which is being thrown into such advertising, especially by service providers, goes into millions. Service providers are one of the biggest advertisers out there. We did, with the help of our partners and customers, we did an analysis how successful investment into advertising, so traditional advertising is, and we came up to a number that 70% of the people who react to such advertising are their existing customers. So 70% of the people who they reached was already their customers. Not very optimum approach, to say at least. These 70% of the people definitely should be targeted differently. They should be targeted through operators' advertising solution. And that way, the cost of upsell would definitely be lower and more money could go into customer acquisition. Upsell can be very targeted as operators know their customers best. I would wager that no one knows each subscriber better than service providers. And all of this information should be used in order to provide them better services and at the same time also raise their revenue. Targeted advertising is not only a tool for lowering advertising expenditure, but also it's a very nice additional revenue stream, because it's not only about upsell and internal advertising. We're talking about external advertising as well. We're talking about offering your own locations inside of the UI, and I'm talking about AVOD, which can be offered to the market. Of course, this all brings new challenges because service providers have never been focused into such advertising. This is something completely new, and also industry has to catch up on that side. But this is somewhere where, let's say, last year everyone was talking about it, but this year everyone is already moving into that. And definitely a very nice cross-sell tool. I already mentioned how much information service providers have. So just as a let's say as a case, if one household is subscribed to a broadband, is watching sports content, telenovelas and kids shows, if I allow myself to use a bit of a stereotype. So then the question must be, why aren't they subscribed to family mobile package? It's obvious that they have that the family is living in this household. So a very nice cross-sell tool to use, because you already know which services subscribers from your list of services are using and which they are not. Advertising is definitely enabling new business models and is also, I would say, becoming the biggest driver in OTT. Just to sum it up, one operator, one invoice, one solution, one application, one TV for one subscriber. This is where we see the future of OTT and how OTT should be. So thank you for your time. I will go now through some questions. Okay, so we have one. What about the pressure of OTT on the network? Yeah, it's a valid question. Before we said that, you know, how much traffic was generated, additional traffic was generated during this time. but also innovation has never been happening faster than today. And in order to prevent these congestions on the network, optimization on technology side is needed. Optimization on compression, on streaming, and delivery. This will be the way, to let's say relieve the networks, and of course at the same time not only optimization on the technology side, but also yes, investments into networks will be needed, and they are happening. We all know that the biggest investments now are happening into 5G, which will definitely be additional driver for OTT. Okay, another one. Is the industry ready for operator advertising? Not everywhere. In the States, yes. We see Hulu as a prime example. I know that Hulu is not a service provider, but the industry as such is definitely ready. We see Hulu actually raising more money through ad-based service than premium-based service. There's still a lot of work to be done. Operators will have to change the way they approach advertising. Agencies will have to adapt. Some people, at least at the beginning when all this started, were saying that targeted advertising or addressable advertising on TV is nothing different to internet, to digital advertising, but the reality is it is quite different. So yes, not everyone is ready yet, but we're going there, and definitely the first ones will reap the benefits. Okay, in my opinion, does IPTV still make sense? Yes, of course. If you invested into IPTV, if you have your own IPTV network, use OTT as something that will enhance your IPTV solution. And slowly migrate through time, probably through years. But if you are, let's say, a greenfield operation, our suggestion would be to start with OTT. What is the right business model? AVOD, SVOD, traditional subscriptions? I would say a mix. Every operator knows its customer best. I would say in general a mix of all of those. Also TVOD, let's not forget about this option as well. And then adjust it based on the needs, and also test it. It's all about testing. You can test something, you see that subscribers are not reacting, change, adapt. Legal aspects of advertising. Okay, it's so regarding the GDPR. Companies such as ours which are based in European Union, GDPR is something we live with. So I can say yes, fully compliant. On the other side, content rights. Yeah, it's so every country has different legal restrictions. So this is something, at least for us, when we start discussions with operators, when they ask us what is possible. So technology side, everything is possible. It's just a matter of time and money, like the old saying goes. But then it's up to operators to provide the limitations and to share the limitations of their legislation. Every country has it different. in some places, it's totally illegal to switch ads in live TV. In some places it's open for everyone. In some places only VOD can be ad based. So the major question always is, what are you allowed to do in regards to interrupting the stream, whether VOD, so whether linear or non-linear. On the other side, user interface is up to you. So your providers of UI, they can work and provide UI placements. And regarding UI placements, I have at least till now, I haven't see any restrictions anywhere. Of course, it also, it depends what you are advertising, but in general, there are no limitations on that side. That was the last question for now. So if any other questions, okay, we got another one. Do you think OTT will replace traditional delivery platforms like satellite cable completely? If so, by when do you think it would happen? I think it's happening already. It's not going to be a fast transition for sure. Satellite cable operators invested heavily into its solutions, and I don't even see the need for this rapid exchange. Rather, use OTT to enhance its solution. Today, I remember 2 or 3 years ago, we were at event CAPSAT in Dubai, talking with satellite operators, and we were discussing adding OTT to their services. Some of them were interested by this idea, some of them immediately said no, but after these 2-3 years, I can say that most of the satellite operators today are adding OTT to its solution. So when will they completely change it? Who knows, if ever, but the moment will be once the investment cycle is done. But in general, all let's say most of the new deployments, in our opinion, will be OTT. And this is also the direction the whole industry is going. As we can see, fastest development on the OTT side. I would love to say in which year, but simply not able to. We shall see. We shall see. We received a new one. How service providers should give options for the customers during the acquisition. 1, many choosing options to the OTT service, like 25 packages with different predefined bundlings. 2, it should be limited to few options with less complexity, like Netflix. I would say it really depends. It really depends of the region and of the subscribe, or let's say the group of subscribers you're the group of people you're targeting. In my personal opinion, let's call them skinny bundles, will be more and more popular. We already see operators which are here since IPTV world and have, let's say, IPTV offering with 150 channels and I don't know how many different subscriptions. are now building a separate OTT platform with limited number of channels, talking about 30 to 50 channel maximum, with lower number of subscriber channels. I would wager, yeah, it is influenced by Netflix, and on the other side also influenced by the cost of content. And now that operators have started to really use all these different analytical tools, also like Bitmovin is providing, the player analytics and coding part, you can really see what's being watched, and all the channels which are not watched are slowly being dropped by pay TV or any operators. At least for the start. And once you have a system running, you can always add additional channels. This is not any, or let's say packages. It's not let's call it rocket science to enhance it. The most difficult part is to start. Okay, this was the last question. I hope I answered to all of your questions, that you heard what you wanted to hear, or at least what you are asking. I hope that you learned something new, or at least that I provided some value, that it wasn't a lost hour. If you have any additional questions, remarks, feel free to contact me. My email address was on the first slide. When you get the recording, you'll be able to see it again. And thank you for your time, and hope that next time we see each other face to face, because honestly, I had enough of this quarantine already. I want to start traveling. I'm sure you do as well. Take care, and thank you.